Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vince.
The Earth has a date with destiny. It's good to see the Earth dating again.
And we got Chris.
Tell my wife I love her very much.
She knows.
I was really expecting you, Chris, to say, like, we committed a genocide bond.
Hi, everybody, and I'm Kia. Welcome to the show. We're talking about the Flintstones today.
Yabba Dabba Doo.
This is a reboot of the Flintstones from 2016. And it was like it's like a 12-issue, just limited series. We're reading the first 6 issues today, Volume 1. It was released by, who released this? Just
DC.
Warner Brothers?
Yeah, DC Comics.
They own all
Straight up DC, part of their Hanna-Barbera universe. There was
the Hanna-Banana universe?
There was a Scooby-Doo Apocalypse book.
What?
There's a Snagglepuss book that's up for the Eisners that like basically recontextualizes Snagglepuss as Tennessee Williams and worried about being blacklisted as a communist. It's fucking weird.
Put both of those on the list. We got to check these out eventually.
But I was telling Kimberly, I'm like, so I'm reading Flintstones. She's like, why are you reading Flintstones? That was like the instant words out of her mouth, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I like first question. This is a book that. It's not written for fans of the Flintstones, if there are fans of the Flintstones.
There's no such thing. Like, the Flintstones is just like it was a cheap cartoon that did good enough for what it needed to be.
It was a primetime cartoon. It was a
yes, you're right. At
it was
the
a
time, it was great.
It was a parody on The Honeymooners. I think it ran one season and then ended up like, well, let's just sell this as a children's cartoon.
I was gonna say it lasted 130 some episodes.
I think
the Simpsons made a big deal about when they passed it.
Yeah, it was weird though, because a lot of the Hanna-Barbera cartoons lasted like one season, except for Scooby-Doo, and I think even Jetsons was a one-season show that then got rebooted in the 80s. But I think, but the Flintstones had been in constant production, although I don't think it's been in production for at least 20-something years.
They still make movies. They had WWE characters appeared in Flintstones World.
Oh, really?
They had CM Punk Rock. That's an easy one.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, they have Bobby Flay meeting Scooby-Doo now.
Bobby Flay?
Yeah, it's like the Curse of the Gourmet Ghost, I think. I've put it on my birthday list several years in a row, and no one's taken the bait.
Yeah, I'll get that for you one day, I promise. But no, like, you tell me there's a new Flintstones comic, and I instantly just think, like, okay, it's one of those, like, Looney Tunes kind of ones that DC puts out for little kids that you sometimes see at the stores, like, at the checkout lane, but it's not, like,
yeah, it looks
comic.
like a bongo comic for, like, Futurama or The Simpsons or, like, an Archie Double Digest. Not
something like that. But not, like, a serious thing with some really good art and, like, an actual story that has social commentary and like trying to connect to society today, but at the same time it makes it so. This is written by Mark Russell, art by Steve Pugh, but Mark Russell wrote Prez, which we talked about
last year on July 4th.
Yeah, not the original Prez.
Not the original Prez, that sort of other reboot that came out a few years back. But it did the same thing. It's like set in the future, but it's all just jokes on modern society and connecting stuff back to like what we know now. And he does the exact same thing here with Flintstones, except it's all jokes about the past instead of jokes about the future.
But it's all like sight gags in the background. There's like weird like murder
We're
death
not
robots.
Be able to mention every single gag throughout this book, but there are so many of them. It's just one that you can read really slowly and just kind of like enjoy everything that's going on in the background. There's a lot. I was very pleasantly surprised, by the way, if you can't tell by the sound of my voice, loving this, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Are we ready to jump into this? Do we need any other preamble?
Yabba Dabba Doo.
Yabba Dabba Doo. First issue. Okay, this first issue has a framing device. It's the only one that has this kind of framing device set in the present, where it's like a museum setting, and there's this caveman that's been frozen in ice, and we're seeing him. But then we instantly go back to Bedrock, the town of Bedrock. And boy, this place is bustling. It's happening. Everything's going. Everything's looking great. Fred's boss, what's this guy's name? Slate?
Mr. Slate.
Mr. Slate.
Yeah, Mr. Slate. He's starting to hire some cheap, strong labor from out of town. They're Neanderthals. What does he call it? He calls them Cro-Mags. That's not really.
He calls them Cro-Magnons, and he's like, actually, we're Neanderthals, which reminds me explicitly of like Arrested Development. Like, why does he think we're Mexican? We're obviously Guatemalan. is what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
And it's just like a running gag of like he doesn't give a shit about their race, and he's like, these guys have no concept of money, so we can totally exploit them because they're good hard workers, and it's just like, man.
Yeah, he's like Slate is very much the capitalist in this story throughout the whole thing, and it's presented very perfectly.
But this is established like in 4 panels of like, holy shit! Like this guy is like a complete exploiter capitalist, like douchebag. Is like, but it sets the tone very quickly in the book of like, oh, this is what this is. If you actually wanted to see like the Flintstones, like Bonnie, like you're not getting that like at all. Like,
yeah, it's very different. I do like the design of this character. It does look a lot like a cross between John Goodman and Clark Kent a little bit. As your Fred Flintstone, I think it's a great look. He's talking to Wilma on the phone. Wilma does a lot of hand painting at home.
And nobody gets her painting. They find it very too primitive painting. And lame and passe.
Yeah, like later in this issue, it's kind of jumping ahead, but it's its own little thing where she's accepted into some art gallery, and she gets there, and she's not even like inside with everyone else. She's outside, but yeah, nobody gets her, but it's important to her.
Yeah,
it's nice.
But the Flintstones still shows like its kind of roots in like the 1950s. Like Fred and Barney still go to veterans meetings, which is not so much like World War II analog, but it's still kind of that kind of same concept of like, well, they're obviously all war vets. And they talk about poor Joe still has like a lot of PTSD from the war.
Yeah. But they also have to take these Neanderthals with them because it's Fred's job to kind of show them a good time, to get them to sign on with Slate. And he just kind of forgotten about this meeting. So he and Barney take the Neanderthals there.
They take him to a UFC fight to
which is like really gruesome. And
we just lit them on fire, man. It feels more like a Vietnam analog in that way. Like we just murdered kids. Like that's all we did. Murdered a lot of tree people, I think, is what their war was. They allude to.
Yeah, we learn more about it later, but but after the fight,
this is at Maddistone Square Garden. The fight is in the Roctagon.
Yeah, they take the Neanderthals out to eat at the Outback Snake House, where there's snakes. Barney has a great line where he says, "My favorite part was when he lost consciousness."
Favorite. And then the Neanderthals are like, "Why didn't we eat that?" And they point to a buffalo and like, "You want to eat the air conditioner?"
Yeah, he's like on a treadmill.
This book is
like instantly filled with like so many great fun gags.
This book is filled with like real darkness and then like dumb puns, which is like my jam.
Like this next joke is like, I was like, oh, I did not expect that. Where Fred gets home and Wilma is flipping through old pictures and just like, oh, I'm just looking at our wedding photos, and like Wilma's face is completely covered and it's just her dad standing there angry accepting 3 goats from Fred, and that's their wedding photo. Like, jeez, expect this to go.
You're worth every goat.
Worth every. That's right. That's his line. You were worth every goat. They've also been invited to Slate's hot tub party. That freaking douchebag.
There's a great. This book is just great. Like he's talking to the Neanderthals though, and they're like, "Fred, how come you wear that tie?" It's like, "Well, I read an article once that said you should dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So how long have you been wearing that tie?" Panel break, 15 years. It's like shit. Like the way that it's just, the panel breaks to create pauses, just like the pathos, the like, damn, this is heavy. It's real shitty. It's a real.
But there's also just like a lot going on in this comic.
There's got to be 20 scenes in this. It's an exercise issue, but it's still like 20 scenes. Like this is a stake in the ground of like, this is what this book is, and it's actually a hard book. You can't just read like 6 issues in a row because there's like too much to just process. There's too many
but
scenes.
They are good one and dones for the most part as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to Slate's party later. They're all dressed up. The Neanderthals are there as well, and Slate's just like this kind of guy who's really trying to impress everybody. He has this brand new food they've never tried called ice cream, and he summons the ice cream, which is brought out by a turtle, and by the time the turtle gets to them, it's all melted. And it's the dumbest gag, and I loved it so much. And he's just like yelling at the turtle. He's mad at him, and the turtle look on his face.
Well, and it's helped because the turtle has like a name Philip.
Yeah,
like,
the name.
Yeah.
which makes it like weirder and funnier. And then Slate's like wearing an armadillo speedo. It's fucking weird. It's so weird. I don't. I like. This is a book like legitimately like you'll have to read. Like this is a book, listener. Like this is a book.
Slate's couch is like a big sloth that's like on his back, kind of turned up. It's
Steve Pugh draws
He did a
the
great
shit out
job.
of this book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, the ice cream's ruined. We still got to eat something. Hey, look at that mammoth over there. Let's eat that thing. And the look on the mammoth's face is also great here. But she like they're trying to figure out who should go kill it, and he says, "Hey, one of you, Neanderthal guys, you go do it. Here, I'll give you my necklace if you take it. If you go do it." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And this guy like falls down into the water and gets frozen in a block of ice, and it's sad, and he dies. And yeah, it's a bit of a mess of a party, and everybody leaves kind of angry.
Well, I mean, earlier in the scene, Slate's like daring one of the Neanderthals to eat a spider, and he'll give him some money for it. Like it's very much like an exploitive kind of weird vibe.
But we do see that same Neanderthal later is the one from the museum that was the framing device, and like in this museum they're just kind of speculating on who this guy is, why he had such a fancy necklace on. He must have been a very important person, but they don't know nothing. Poor Neanderthal. But yeah, that first issue really sets everything up.
Well, and we have the I think it's pretty rough, but also like really interesting world building of Wilma goes to the art exhibit, and everybody's making fun of her like very gauche, very like lame art prints. They're very passé, and she talks about how like the weird thing about this book is that they allude to like their time before they lived in civilization, when they were just like wandering tribes. And Wilma was like, every time like people would go out for hunts or they would leave, like I may never see them again. And the only thing I ever had to remember my family and my friends by was their handprints on the caves, and like to know that I wasn't like alone in the universe. And it's like, man, this is really like way heavier than I was expecting out of this book. It's just really well drawn. It's really good. And I mean, it doesn't represent the Wilma I remember at all from the comics or or from the cartoon or the movies, but it's really good. It's just really
we haven't seen much of Betty and Barney yet, but I think this book does a great job of kind of very slowly introducing like all the supporting cast members, and we kind of see them, as they come and go. Very
even the Great Gazoo, but that's coming up later.
That's coming up. But there's like a few other recurring characters that I didn't expect to necessarily be recurring. We'll get to them. But yeah, in that first issue, we just kind of see Barney hanging out with Fred and the Neanderthals. Betty does go shopping with Wilma at one point. She's very fashionable. That's all we really see much out of Betty, though. All right, issue 2 starts off great with Fred just walking in. Hey, Barney, here's that rock I owe you. I like that line quite a bit. And then he's scared because there's a wall demon. There's somebody's face on the wall. He tries to destroy it with the rock, but no, it is a brand new television that Betty and Barney have gotten. What? And they watch the news, the first ever news broadcast. Everybody's buying crap.
Well, let's take a step back. The first one is like, today a man's head was crushed by a giant rock. Today we have a picture of it. Oh, what's that? Children watching? Well, that's gotta be pretty horrifying for them. We probably shouldn't have shown that. Sorry about that. We're all very new to this.
The bluntness and like everything about the news, all the news things throughout the whole rest of the series are great. This book does this great thing that kind of like Futurama would do. Like if it sets up something weird, it really continues that tiny little thing going in the background. Like the name of their god, as far as we know, is Morp. They keep talking about Morp Morp that. But it does kind of start to change a little bit later. We'll get to that. I like the way they continue those
even
things.
in the first panel of this issue 2, you get an allusion to what happens. Like I think in issue 4 or 5, where it's this kid, I can't even remember the bully's name, like trying to get Bam Bam, and he goes, "Hey, give me your money or I'll punch you in the beef," which is such a weird turn of phrase, but becomes like a major turn of phrase like 2 or 3 issues later. But yeah, this is very much like a Morbo. Morbo don't like. But the newscasters do a lot of heavy lifting in this book, and I really like them.
But everybody's at the mall. It's the grand opening of the mall, and so everybody's buying crap that they don't need.
They have
And
Neanderthals.
Neanderthals, is that what you said?
Yeah,
Oh, they do.
it's
Yeah,
one of my
that's,
favorite
like
puns.
there's so many little jokes I missed. I missed that the first
But
time
they buy
around.
their appliances. This is where they decide to get like the can opener that's that it's a living
Yeah.
thing with teeth. And he uses his toothpaste is called Falcon Crest, which is fucking hilarious to me.
Yeah. Fred buys a weed eater, which is just like a goat on a stick tied to a stick.
Power Goat 3000, which is one of the saddest panels because he like weed eats the whole yard and then puts the Power Goat back in the garage and just closes the garage. And the way the panel is shot, it's from like it's shot from the perspective of the Power Goat inside the garage. You don't even see Fred; you just see him closing it. Like he's not going to see this Power Goat for a week, and Power Goat's like, Power Goat. Look, this poor appliance isn't going to eat for a week.
Yeah.
I just mowed my lawn for the first time in 3 weeks today, and I mowed the lawn. I mean, my wife did, but either way, like we don't mow it every week. Come on, like this poor Power Goat's going to starve to death.
Yeah, they've Pebbles is super cool in this, by the way. She's got a really neat hairstyle, and she's listening. She's like getting some music. She's got some great shirts throughout this thing too. I made note of a Nick Caveman T-shirt.
That was a really
had.
good one. That was a really good one.
And the bad seeds, I think.
She's like a teenager, not like a baby in this.
Yeah, there's like a sixth grade. Is that what they were? 8th grade.
Yeah, they're more because
yeah.
I think there was a Pebbles and Bam Bam hour where they were teenagers, but
yeah,
Pebbles and Bam Bam
like
I know are babies.
Yeah, this is right in the middle. But there's this song playing, and I feel like I have to read this rap for everybody because it's a great rap. Gonna pump that rump, gotta bump that rump. Yo, rump is a riddle that got me stumped. Round like a hump, bumping that rump. Girl, turn around, let me grab a clump. I thought that was a great rap, and it needs to be a real song, please. Thank you.
If it was written by Warren Ellis, there'd be like an MP3 track.
Yeah, but that one line
probably
in the
done
middle
by Nick Cave.
Yo, rump is a riddle that got me stumped is my favorite line for sure. We have they also go to church where they meet the bird god Morp, who like there is this real avatar of the gods that they keep at this church, and it's a bird, but they hear the voice of the bird by putting its like beak on a record player, but it's that rap song that's playing, and everyone's like, I don't know if I'm into this bird god anymore, if that's what it says. And
that was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, but the church is constantly trying to figure out who their new god should be, like who their new avatar is, and like they're just trying to figure this shit out. This is just another business for them. And they bring in like an elephant, Peaches the elephant, and they're like, "Hey, look at this! It's Peaches the elephant!" And everyone thinks it's so cute.
And then they realize, like, we have an elephant. It's a vacuum cleaner. We're worshiping a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Betty is the one. I'm sorry, Wilma is the one who realizes this. Fred brings it up, and everyone kind of riots a little bit, and they're like, "What? We worship a vacuum cleaner." But back to the drawing board. Find a new god. We also get Fred and Barney selling vitamins.
Yeah, because Wilma and Fred keep buying crap, and so Fred has to get involved in a multi-level marketing scheme, or a Marie Claire, a Tupperware. I don't want to throw everybody under the bus, but essential oils, LuLaRoe, all of those kind of like weird things where you have to buy $5,000 worth of inventory, and then you don't get that profit back. It all is what it is. You know what it is.
Yep.
But it's selling Shamrock vitamins.
Yeah, and they're not particularly good. Fred's not even good at it anyways. Barney's a natural because he just gets Bam Bam out there. Bam Bam lifts up something heavy, and everyone's like, "Yeah, I'll buy your vitamins. Hell yeah." Fred goes to return some stuff that they don't need. He returns the garbage disposal, and gets some meat in exchange. Oh, this is not the scene I was thinking of. Later, he returns. What does he return? Oh, he returns their dishwasher.
Yeah. The octopus.
The octopus. Oh, yeah, it only has 7 arms. Like, this is like that when I bought it. Says, all right, store credit only. Well, I'll take that guy. And he takes Dino. Like, what does he do? Nothing. It's good. He's like, yeah, he kind of realizes he wants to. He has a little bit of a breakdown with these vitamins, and it's like, yeah, we shouldn't be like trying to buy all this stuff, blah blah blah, capitalism, commercialism, all that. Did they also pick a new god in this issue? I can't remember.
This is the one. Yeah, this was the. There's like 4 subplots in this thing.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I also want to establish that the church also had a sign outside. What has been the teaches of peaches? Was it fucking dumb? Yeah, this is where they're like, how about we keep picking these real things that people like get. They lose things that. So how about we just have an invisible god named Gerald that everybody believes in?
Well, they don't even think of the name until somebody asks. It's like, Gerald. Yeah, that's his name.
And so,
so from now on, Gerald is their invisible god in this.
And so they always like do the curse like, by Gerald. I can't believe he did it. Except in the flashbacks where they still talk about Morp.
Yeah, I like consistency there. I appreciate
the book
that.
is nothing if not consistent.
Yeah. All right, so on to issue 3. The middle school class is taking a field trip to the planetarium with a Carl Sagan analog. What was this guy's name?
Sargon.
Sargon.
It wasn't very clever.
It really wasn't. And they shoot a monkey out into space, and the way that they do this, they have like this wooden rocket ship that they've built, and they're just dropping a brontosaurus onto a seesaw thing.
This might be my panel of the week.
I think it's my panel of the week for sure. It was great.
Don't worry, Pebbles. And the monkey's like, tell my wife I love her very much. And the brontosaurus they're gonna drop on the catapult. It's like, she knows.
I love that, and but the kid, like Pebbles, is like, wait a minute, they just kill that monkey to impress a bunch of 8th graders? Like, what? And then the book goes off the rails for this one. I'm like, oh, all right, great. So this monkey that got launched into space has attracted the attention of aliens who land on this planet to see what's up, and they're like, yeah, this place sucks. I'm not hanging out here. Let's just leave. We'll put it on Galactopedia, and we're out of here. Slate's really trying to suck up to them. He's like, yeah, we can be friends. I can be your contact on this planet.
If you ever need a puppet dictator.
Puppet dictator. And then we get... we see, this gets really dark. Joe, one of the veterans, he calls a suicide hotline for veterans, and he is on hold for most of this book. Unfortunately, he cannot get through to anybody.
Well, the book goes from like alien gag to like the veterans meeting where they're like talking about like fears of being colonized, which they've been colonizers, so like this is not going to end well for us. To like the post-war veteran experience is like, man, it was pretty awesome when we came back home from that war, and like everybody celebrated. And it's like the next day we're all homeless, and then Joe talking about a veteran's suicide hotline, like in a 2-page span. I'm like, whoa, we covered a lot of fucking ground here. Like in a Flintstones book again.
Yeah, I'm very surprised.
Like again, I guess there's no real Flintstones fans in this world, or if there are, they're only ironic. So that's what this book would speak to. Like, but I'm
a Flintstones fan after this book. I'm a Flintstones kid. A million strong and growing, bitch.
But yeah, this is a direct analog for like the post-war experience. It's like really fascinating that this is in a Flintstones book. Mark Russell is a little bit of an anarchist. I feel like he definitely is anti-establishment.
Oh, definitely, yeah. With some of the stuff that comes up a little later, definitely.
But then the immediate page right after the suicide hotline is the newscaster with a picture. This might be also my panel of the week. He's got like a cutaway image of a pterodactyl taking away children. He goes, and that's why you don't go hiking, kids.
Oh man, I love this guy. And then the next one is just a drawing, though. They don't have it's all drawings, but this one's very crudely done of aliens landing again because the aliens have returned. Oh, hooray! Except this time it is not the other people. It's all the like teenagers and kids having their spring break, their galactic break, and they are the worst. They are horrible people. It's basically an analog for teens going to Cancun or something, or like some place that's relatively more undiscovered and just fucking ruining it. Goddamn, these people are just puking all over everything. They like poke their heads into Fred and Wilma's place and puke all over her painting. And Fred's like, all right, that's it. I got to go make a complaint. And like they've been arresting these aliens. They're passed out and drunk all over the place. Some great images of these aliens just like being messes.
All wearing their little swim trunks.
Yeah. My favorite is the guy at the police station trying to get his bro out of jail, and he's like telling the cop, "Come on, do me a multi-dimensional solid here."
And then they just shoot him, and then it turns.
Yeah. And then they start vaporizing humans, like using their apps on their phone. They have a death ray app. Oh man, and now it's trouble because like chaos has broken out and these people are killing everybody. Pebbles and Bam Bam go back to the cave of science and technology, the space museum, to just kind of wait it all out, hide from everybody. And people are getting vaporized left and right. Fred decides he's going to go get some help from the Veterans Therapy Group, and they're all learning about how they can remain calm in stressful times. And the therapist teaches them, like, why don't you all just say, as a great little thing I say to help myself in these situations, we just say, Yabba Dabba Doo.
It's like a Kuna Matata.
Yeah, whatever's going on, we can Yabba Dabba Doo it. And I'm like, okay, great, we got the origin of Yabba Dabba Doo, wonderful.
That's the other thing, is this book has like the origin of everything. Like,
It's got the
if
origin
you
of
really
Fred.
wanted a canonical reason for all these things that happened in Flintstones, like here they are. Like how you found Dino, how they found Bam Bam. Like it's all fucking weird. Why is Bam Bam so strong? Which is next issue, but
Next issue. They also go get Joe. Joe's not there. They like slide a note under his door, and he, he's still on hold with suicide hotline. So he says, "No, I'm going to go help my friends." It's good to feel wanted again, you know. And they manage to save everybody. They also get, Pebbles and Bam Bam help a little bit. They
narc out to their parents.
Yeah,
they narc out to the aliens' parents.
Oh, I love this conversation they have with Carl Sagan, where he's like, "No, this is how our geek indoor losers do it. We just hide and wait it out." Or we could knock them out. That's the way. Now you're. What's his line? Now you're thinking like a geek lord.
Poor Joe attack. Poor Joe. Right before that, though, poor Joe.
No, just vaporized. Yeah, I did not expect that to happen so soon. Oh, poor Joe. Poor Joe. Well, I guess he got his wish, right? Does that count?
Yeah, no, I mean, poor Joe.
Poor Joe. Just poor Joe. But they decide, after the parents come pick everybody up, the aliens say, we'll leave behind somebody to like protect this place. They leave behind the Great Gazoo. Yeah, all right, great.
Which I believe he showed up in the final season of the Flintstones. Is like a way to like spice it up, like Cousin Oliver style.
Set it up with an alien. He doesn't really show up in the rest of our issues here today, though. I'm not sure if he shows up in the second volume, but they're also unveiling a statue of our fallen hero to commemorate them. And Fred and Barney are like, "Oh, it's got to be Joe." Yeah, great, but no, it's earlier. Reaching out for the stars. What a great image. Great. On to issue number 4. Boy, these are tense issues. We got a lot to talk about in all of these. It's great. This might be a little long here. Everybody doing okay over there? Need a water break? Bathroom break?
We're okay.
Listener, if you need such a break, should have a pause button device.
Yeah. If you want a examination of homosexual marriage, but through the lens of monogamy, buckle up.
Buckle up. This is another great cover. All these covers have been really great, but these are just like protesters with signs like "Monogamy destroys." A child deserves 7 fathers and about a dozen mothers.
Take a wife, not on our life.
It's like, okay, I see what this is going to be about. Yeah. This one does feel a little bit more focused. There's a lot less going on, I think, in the background of this issue.
They still have time for an animal revolution.
There is, you're right, there is an animal revolution.
There's like 4 plots every issue. It's crazy.
You're right. It's so much fun. Fred and Wilma are going to like a marriage retreat. Pebbles is staying with Barney and Betty. She's not
married people, disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Agreed, Vince.
Yep.
Yeah, that old couple who's walking there like crocodile, and go back to the sex cave like nature intended. They on their way.
This is like, I think it's these newscasters, man. It's like, why do you think about marriage, Rock? I think it's an immoral threat to our way of life. Really? Why do you think that? Because it wasn't around when I was a kid.
There's so many greats. I just want to like read these comics to everybody. They run into their friends Adam and Steve on the way to the marriage retreat, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've been maybe thinking about getting married too. It might be good. Yeah, see if it's right for us." And they go to this marriage retreat, and it's the same guy from the church who's like, the spiritual.
It is the same guy.
Yeah. I guess they just run all the spiritual scale. Like, he doesn't know what's going on here. He just keeps on touting that they have zip lines, and he's got a guitar to play nice music, and they do, like, what would you say to your partner if you found them dead? Like, that kind of thing.
Man, but then Fred hits the fucking realness in the middle of this.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, ooh, as a married person, I'm like, I don't want to approach this thought. It's like, I think I want to read this though. Marriage is like life insurance. Like, you only enter into a lifetime commitment because you're afraid of the future. But does being married mean she will love me forever, or is it just my attempt to keep her from finding someone better? Is marriage really a sacred bond, or is it just the illusion of security? Like, shit.
Time for the zip lines. Hey.
Like, that got real fast.
Yeah, that got real.
Like, these are things like Mark Russell's saying, like, things that I'm like, most people I don't read in literature say these kind of things. Which is interesting. Like, whether or not I agree with it, I'm like, I don't hear most people say this in literature at all. So, and they're like, oh, okay, thanks, Fred. Zip line.
You weren't watching the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons close enough. I think.
Yeah. Man, Hong Kong Phooey, I bet, has got to say some things about.
Oh boy. Yeah, so other couples at this retreat, there's like an older couple who has been married for 30 years and they hate each other. There's like a young couple who's thinking about getting married. That guy, they're all having their good little times there. Meanwhile, the animal revolution is happening. And this is, I think, my favorite part of this issue, that all the animals are just talking shit about their bosses while they're gone. And like Dino comes in and they're like, they don't talk to Dino. Like, he's not one of them. Yeah, he's a fucking traitor, yeah. And throughout all this, the armadillo, who is Fred's bowling ball, kind of rolls up to the door where the vacuum cleaner elephant is being held, and they make friends, and their friendship is like just an elephant and armadillo. It's so adorable. They don't explore it much in this issue, but we see them a few times later, and I love these two. I want a spin-off comic of just Elephant and Armadillo. It's fantastic.
Definitely, you can make like one of those meme comics.
Yeah.
Like a 4-panel comic where you explore something. Yeah.
Easy. We go back to Bedrock Middle School, home of the Fighting Tree People.
Well, I have words to say about that, but we'll talk about that next issue.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about there after the next issue. Yeah.
But Pebbles is also eating Fruity Pebbles cereal in the morning, by the way.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, great.
She's taught at school how to sit still and shut up. And Barney's like, that's what I was taught.
I hadn't really noticed their breakfast. There's like a dead lizard rat thing on the table. Great. They have Carl Sagan is here again. I didn't know that he was going to be like a recurring character, but I'm glad he is. Or Sargon, right? He's teaching them about the world and how, molecules came together. And, he had mentioned in the last book that everyone thinks it's just a rock floating in space, but they're all idiots. We're a rock that's sitting on top of a turtle. I'm like, well, where's that turtle? Well, turtle's floating in space. Let's see, there's... what is going on?
There's a town hall meeting that feels like a Parks and Rec town hall meeting.
Very much so.
I love the goatee guy is always talking about, like, I just want to beat people in the head with clubs.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to clubbing. But they're also like, well, we got to like take care of this marriage problem that's coming up. And he's like, listen, we've got more important things to worry about. Like what? Like literally everything else is more important than this issue. And they're like, well, in that case, we're taking it into our own hands. Like, yeah, that
Follow me, angry mob. It's so dumb.
We get some more marriage retreat stuff. The marriage retreat kind of basically is falling apart. This guy clearly does not know what he's doing leading a retreat. He's just trying to make a buck off of it. And
one man plus one woman equals two weird.
Yeah, the protester show up. That was my favorite sign. One man plus one woman equals two weird. And God hates dads is also a good one. And there's a big old fight that goes on there. Adam and Steve show up, and they want to get married as well. They're all dressed up. And the church guy's like, oh, wait a minute. No, we don't do that. and they have a pretty serious chat about why they should be married. And,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is this book goes from like absurd, like this is obviously like an analog to talk about other things, and then we're like,
Right.
let's just hit with a real like flashback scene. And every scene that's in flashback like seems to be fairly fucking real.
yeah.
But man, I was talking to Kimberly about this last night. It's like Adam and Steve is like, why do you like? It's like they're non-breeders, so like, what's the point of marriage for them? It's like, well, I mean, we're a tribe and we're like trying to like survive, and sometimes parents have more kids than they have hands, and like it's really nice to have like people like Adam and Steve that can help the kids like keep up. You don't have to be like a biological parent to be able to help out your tribe and your community. And I'm just like, man, this is fucking real and beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's also a very utilitarian look at it. Like, well, they provide value in other ways, so that's
true.
why we should keep them around. It's like,
Sure, but they're also
Okay, yeah,
talking
there's
to
also-
somebody who's only looking at their value. So being able to at least sell them on that, I think, is like a decent enough argument,
That
But
is
you're right.
true.
It's
That is
not
true,
the
Chris. I
only thing.
always get blinded when people are like they have values. Like they shouldn't have to have fucking value to be cared about.
Yeah,
I always get
exactly.
blindsided by that on Twitter. It's like, well, if they can work a living, everybody deserves to have a living wage. Like everybody deserves to live, man. To fucking contribute to society to be able to live. I'm like, yeah, that's true. Left Twitter, you're right. But yeah, you're right.
It's a
It's a living.
it is in fact a living. But yeah,
the retreat guy is like, well, I guess I got a lot of thinking to do, but I probably won't.
For real.
We see everybody go back home. Dino's there, excited to get his belly tickled. And the other animals are fucking disgusted and they hate it. I love that. And that's the end of that issue. I want to see more of this animal revolution for sure. Next issue is the election issue. Oh boy.
And also the genocide issue.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in this issue. Oh my god.
Vote for me or I'll punch you in the beef. That should have been
Yep.
my tagline.
That's a good, that's a good bully. The bully is running for class mayor, class president, whatever. But there's also a mayoral debate, like for real, going on, where what's this guy's name? Claude the Destroyer.
As mayor, how will you respond to the threat posed by the lizard people, which is real in this case? But
They also, I love the question he gets about like, hey, you haven't actually destroyed anything, right? You're the son of Mordok the Destroyer. You just inherited that name. And it's like, the name's not important. The lizard people are the issue here. We gotta kill them. Hooray. We have, everybody's kind of talking about, how do we get into these flashbacks?
well, they want to kill the lizard people, and so then Fred and Barney are at Starbricks, and they're like, this feels familiar, huh, Fred? And he's like, we participate in a genocide, Bon.
That's pretty good. That's good. I don't envision this Fred sounding like that, but I appreciate it.
I'm in a Facebook community, and they'll just use it as a shorthand, like we participated in a genocide, and like, oh, like Fred has the insight to say like, oh yeah, they just completely murdered all these tree people for no good reason.
Yeah. Well, we get this whole flashback about like why they joined the army in the first place. Slade had this whole idea for a new city called Bedrock. And before this, they were like a migrating tribe. Then they lived in tents for a while. And he's like, no, we got to live in stone houses. It's a lot nicer. And so that original The Destroyer, Mordok the Destroyer, gets them all together. They enlist and they say, we got to kill these tree people. They are a danger to our way of life. This is the only way to protect our family. So if you want to protect your family, you got to join.
And Wilma's pregnant at this time.
Wilma's pregnant. Barney doesn't seem to be able to, have any kids with Betty, unfortunately. So he's feeling a little insecure about all that, and he decides to join the army as well. But that's sort of like why they joined. We get back to the present. This bully is being a real jerk, but Bam Bam ain't having none of it. He just kind of throws people around. He's got some other nerds working for him. I like this nerd guy with the clipboard. This really is all flashback. Let's forget the modern day. All flashback. This war happens with the tree people. They're like training, wrestling against gorillas. That was a nice moment. But they finally gets to the moment of the attack, and they are like just wiping out these tree people with all their newer technology that they've got.
Well, and they're just burning down their homes. They're like, how do we fight them? Like, don't even fight them. Just burn the trees down. It's like fucking dark.
It's very dark. And then Fred realizes that they weren't even on the attack. There were like kids in this group of people that were there because somebody like dropped a doll, and he's like, "Holy shit! We literally just murdered all these people and took their land to make our home." Yeah, and the name of their school, their mascot is still the Fighting Tree People. That's fucking weird.
Well, the thing is like that is absolutely like I went to an elementary school that was called the Thunderbirds that recently got changed to the Thunderbolts because it was a little too much like you're just like treading on some like Native American you know, and there's the Florida State Seminoles, like I don't have to go really into it, like there's a lot of Native American imagery of like the colonizers made schools and then just named them after that. And you're like, oh shit! And like I'm like because I noticed it. I think in like the second or third issue, I'm like that their school is called the Home of the Fighting Tree People, and I'm like, haven't they alluded to the fact that they killed all the tree people?
Yeah,
like it's. I'm like, I mean, it was a deep seated joke and commentary like from the beginning. I'm like, this is really cool and interesting. I also tried to pay attention if Joe had any scenes that like contributed to like.
He did, yeah.
It looked like he got raped by the gorilla.
Oh, it did. I didn't notice that.
There's a scene where, like, right after the end of one of the fights, like, there's this gorilla like smiling at him, and him looking terrified. I don't want to say like that's exactly what contributed to PTSD because I'm sure like everything that they committed in this war like would contribute to like his suicidal tendencies. But like, man, like Joe did not have a good go of it, but they didn't show anything explicit in the in the war.
We do see that there is a Tree People baby that has been left behind, and everybody else is dead. So Barney goes ahead and takes him and brings him home to adopt him. And this baby is Bam Bam, with the origin of Bam Bam.
That's why Bam Bam's so strong.
We do see in the background as well that Claude, the Destroyer, does win the mayoral election. As far as the school's election, the opponent to the school bully, whatever his name is, drops out, but Pebbles isn't having any of it. Pebbles is super outspoken, and she's maybe like the best pure character in these books. She reminds me a lot of Prez. What was her name in the newer one?
Her name wasn't like Prez explicitly.
Right, it was whatever it was.
Like Maddie or something. Yeah. Portnoy, though, does have a great speech during the campaign. He's the Ralph the Bully's opponent, and he goes, "If we were to cover the playground with a net, I believe we could reduce the number of kids kidnapped by pterodactyls by to at least just like 1 or 2 a year, tops."
He does have some good ideas, yep.
He has some good ideas. I love that that's a problem. That the kids are just getting taken by pterodactyls like constantly. That's a recurring sub-gag.
Yeah, but he drops out because the bully keeps calling him Pork Boy instead of his name Portnoy.
Well, and then the teachers start taking it.
The teacher accidentally
do you remember when we were in high school that we used to call... There was one girl, and I'm not going to name her, or her nickname, but she had a nickname. And then one of the teachers started calling her that.
I think it was too weird. It was too weird.
And I'm like, oh, poor her. Poor her.
Yeah, I feel so bad. We can't...
She seems like she's doing well now. I've seen on Facebook, but man, that's probably the shittiest thing I've ever seen. Like when a teacher starts calling you by your like terrible nickname, like man, that's fucking terrible for a 16-year-old girl. Like poor her.
Yeah. Poor her.
We committed a genocide, Barn. That's almost on that level.
We committed a genocide, Barn. Great. I think we're on to the next issue. Yeah. They do at one point attack with a giant dinosaur. Which is like, I'm glad you were able to train that dinosaur to just run in and kill tree people. Like, that's kind of impressive. Yeah. All right, so issue 6, last one that we're reading.
End of the world as we know it.
End of the world. Sargon learns that there's an asteroid. We have, he fires his old assistant because he can get Pebbles and Bam Bam to work for him as interns for free. And they're doing some moth experiments. Is that what it is? They're just breeding moths.
They work at the Mothadone Clinic.
Yeah, the Mothadone. They also are installing the new computers that they got, which are just like really fancy abacuses. Applebacus, right?
I didn't notice that.
And it's a fun time. But Sargon's doing his calculation. He learns there's an asteroid and tells everyone that the whole world is gonna die. We also get a scene of Fred and Barney at the bowling alley with the armadillo ball, and then later the armadillo ball is telling the elephant all about it, and it's so sad. He's just like, It's like a hell, man. I don't know why he does it. He just picks me up and he throws me as hard as he can. And then I enter this dark tunnel and I think this is it. I'm dead. But then it's like I open my eyes and I'm back up on top and this whole hell repeats itself over and over again. And he's just like got his hands over his eyes. Like, what? This is terrible. I was...
Well, and then the elephant hits him with, I have no idea if I'll ever see daylight again. Do you know what keeps me going? Just sitting there in the dark in the closet? And you're like Fred has had a bad day because he's like worked really hard. And really he hasn't worked really hard because really he's used the dinosaur to work really hard. But that's neither here nor there. But he like made this giant stack of stones. And then Steve Pugh draws the image of like the stones because that's their currency that he gets is like identical visually to the stone that Fred made, but like infinitesimally small compared to it. So Fred had a great vision. Great job, Steve Pugh. And then Fred, to blow off steam because he had a really shitty day at work, goes bowling to then give the armadillo a really shitty day at work. And then like the elephant is also similarly on having like, well, you think that's bad? Like I don't even get to get out of the dark. I just sit in the closet all day. Like it's just like everybody's just fucking miserable. Like civilization was a mistake, Barn.
Yeah, and this book gets like even worse. So after this news report goes out that this asteroid's going to hit and that everyone's going to die, it gets all over the news. Newscasters having a field day, just cursing up a storm, not giving a shit. And it's chaos at church. Everybody starts. That clubbing guy goes to town, starts clubbing everybody.
I love
People
him.
are
so
dropping
much.
Secrets. Slate invites everybody over.
I gave up clubbing
world.
people for Gerald, and I loved clubbing people. Now that I need him, where is he?
The pandas at Panda Excess are eating everybody. He's got so Slate decides to throw a party for everybody, like an end of the world party for all his employees. Nobody shows up
because he has no friends, and they just all silently walk away from him. Beautiful.
And then we're hanging out at the lab, and we see the abacus had two moths making love on it, and they looked like a bead, and that had caused Sargon's calculations to be thrown off, and he realizes that he messed up.
Oops.
The world's not ending, but everyone's kind of got to live with this. Slate's not happy with his employees, who did not show up to his party. That intern comes back. Not the intern, but the lab assistant comes back to work for Sargon. Good times. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Whew. Yeah. Good stuff. So we got a few little things we got to talk about here. First off, favorite puns. What was y'all's favorite pun?
Oh, I wrote down.
Hold on. I'm going to go to Chris first because Chris, you haven't said much throughout this book. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. It sounds like you were not as enthused about this book as Vince and I were.
No.
Oh no! Tell us more.
I mean, that's you're asking two different things. My favorite pun, I don't know.
That's okay. We'll get to your real opinions first, then we'll get to your favorite of many favorite puns.
My real opinion is that I think this book is funny enough, but I don't think it's that good. Like Steve Pugh's art is great, but I feel like it's very unfocused, and it's just kind of a lot of like tone whiplash, and I didn't particularly like reading it. Right. So, like, it just didn't work for me.
That is
as far
all
as
legitimate, and yet it worked.
Yeah,
for me.
I think the tone whiplash and the focuslessness of it is kind of what I liked. It was a little refreshing for me. But yeah, I can totally see. Yeah.
And it's just like, the Flintstones especially, and I guess, he's kind of taking advantage of the fact that people older than us probably know very well, like, what the Flintstones are like. But I didn't get a sense in this book. I'm like, okay, so, like, who is Fred Flintstone? Because the book doesn't really tell me, like, what's this guy's deal? Like, he goes bowling and he goes to his, like, water buffalo meetings, but they're, like, now a veterans thing. But, like, he's also, like, a super 21st century husband, and he's nothing like Jackie Gleason. So I don't know, like, who these characters are. And, there's really nothing done for, like, the major four characters to tell me who they are.
That's
I think
absolutely true.
It's a similar thing to his Prez series as well, where it doesn't necessarily feel like there is a main character. It just feels like the world is the main character, and he's just more interested in giving us lots of details about the little things going on throughout the world without necessarily focusing on any one person's story. Like, he would much rather have an ensemble just like to tell us what's going on over here.
Yeah,
and the world building is top notch, but I don't think that there's nothing that the characters resemble their earlier selves, or really, like, I don't have any insight into who Fred is.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah, or like Barney or Wilma. You're just like, I mean, Pebbles and Bam Bam a little bit. Like, Pebbles is kind of the perspective character.
Pebbles is, very much, I think, the person we see the most of.
Most personality,
yeah.
But nobody has character arcs. Nobody, like, changes, evolves, really.
Right. But even, like, to have character arcs, I would have to know, like, what is their character now? You know, like, Fred will be, like, super, like I said, very thoughtful and very, like, what I would not think of Fred Flintstone. I mean, because he's, like, you know, a caveman. He's Jackie Gleason in, you know, the original Flintstones. He says stupid shit, and then Wilma gets mad at him, and then he apologizes. Is kind of like, you know, a lot of Flintstones.
It sounds like Home Improvement.
Yeah, but it's just like, it was, you know, that was what those cartoons
absolutely.
were like, because that was like what, you know, most sitcoms were like, and it was like a parody. You know, it was a sitcom that also had like dinosaurs in it. So I don't know. That stuff, some of the jokes I thought were really funny, and I thought Steve Pugh's art was really good, but I was just kind of like, I don't know, especially by the end, I was less, like, the first couple issues I liked, and then by the last couple, I was kind of, like, tired of it.
I can totally see that. I can totally see that.
All right. Favorite pun time, though. If y'all got it, we're gonna talk about the silly stuff again. I didn't write down a favorite pun. I must have mentioned one of my favorites throughout the course of this thing. What do y'all got?
I mentioned mine. Falcon Crest, the toothpaste for the bird can opener, I think is the probably like deepest joke. But Mothadone Clinic's really funny too. My favorite ones that I wrote down were Rock Martens, which are the shoes they wear. The Roctagon, Outback Steakhouse, Neanderthals. That one was really cute. Panda XS and Footlicker. So I'm gonna go. I think Neanderthals made me laugh the most. That's
Neanderthals. That's good. I'm not really sure. I feel like Applecus. What was it? I think it was Applecus. It's so simple, but it was nice.
So dumb. You're right, totally on the tone whiplash. Although somehow that works for me. But yeah, like, it's all over the fucking map. It's like pathos. Super dumb pun.
Yeah, I'll say Outback Steakhouse from the first issue was my favorite, because it's just so stupid.
It is,
but absolutely not something you would have seen in the 60s.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's like, if it existed at the time,
right?
I feel
but
like
you know,
but
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. But I feel like that fits very much in the tone with, like, if it had existed in the 60s, they would have done that, but it didn't. So, like, it feels like a nice modern update.
Because, like, the Madison Square Garden, like, that literally could have been a Flintstones pun.
Or Spears and Roebuck. Yeah.
Yeah, like those could be from the actual show for all I know, because, like, those, like, the show did have a bunch of those kinds of puns from, like, 1950s and 60s Americana.
I don't know what the name of the store was. Whammoth, Bammoth, Thank You, Mammoth. But that one also got me.
There's so many good little things here.
There's little things like when there's a bird that holds a sign whenever the dinosaur's backing up that says "in reverse." It's stupid, and I love it.
I also really like, on the second cover, it's like Betty and Wilma buying shoes. I love the design of these shoes, like the crocodile shoes and like the skeleton, like the bone shoes. They're pretty cool shoes. If they made bone shoes for
those are nice. Mamotho Blanc and Oscar de la Raptor.
I like the variant cover towards the back, where it was they were taking like a selfie, and then you can see in the picture of the selfie that it's animated Fred and Wilma.
Yeah, that one was a really cool cover.
That's a good
I
idea.
see. Yeah, that is nice. That's really nice. I didn't look very closely at that one.
Carl Sagan's character also, like, whenever he did like the history of the universe, she used the old classic Hanna-Barbera art style.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like that. We also need to do a little bookkeeping. Last time we had a little contest. We've been doing this a lot with the over-under for seeing how many times somebody was going to say, it's a living.
It's a living.
And what were our guesses? Vince,
I said one is just a classic homage. Kia, you said 6, aka
I thought there were going to be a lot of them.
one per issue. You thought it was going to be like, I have a bad feeling about this from Star Wars.
Like a recurring theme, yeah.
And Chris, you said 0. And I believe it was 0. I looked
I think it was 0. I think we've said it a bunch of times on this podcast to make references, but I don't think we actually heard it at all in the issues themselves. So,
No.
Congratulations, Chris. You win. We won't make you read any more Flintstones issues. That's what you win. Congratulations.
We had that option.
My opinion is the best, and I am right about everything I've said.
Well, you did win, so congratulations. You are correct.
I hope you're happy.
But I think. I think we're on to All-Star Superman now. Is there anything else we want to say about the Flintstones?
I liked it a lot.
If this idea sounds good to you at all, if you read Prez and you liked it, I think you would probably like this. It's fun. At least worth one issue just to get a sense of the tone and enjoy some of the jokes.
I think... Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm not giving it a great recommendation or anything, but it is like the art is really good. And I think just for that, like, it sells some of the jokes in a way that, like I said, by the end I was kind of like, I'm tired of reading this. But there's some good jokes in here, definitely. So, like, even if if it's not exactly what you want and you're kind of like, I don't know about this, there's good jokes through the whole thing.
Good jokes. Great.
Yeah, and I think I did some polling of some people in some internet communities. I think this is the best of the Hanna-Barbera books that came out in the last couple years.
Okay.
Because there's like the Snagglepuss book and there's the Scooby-Doo book that all kind of like do this weird modernization. And I think the most beloved of them is the Flintstones. Okay. So if you don't like the Flintstones, don't bother with the rest. But I think this is the top of the list. And it's only 12 issues, all in DC Universe.
I will probably end up finishing it and reading the rest of them because I really enjoyed these, and I would like to keep just seeing what happens in this world.
Yeah, and Mark Russell wrote this the Snagglepuss one that's nominated for an Eisner Award in a couple weeks. So check that out.
Amazing! Can't wait. Maybe we'll read it if it wins. Maybe
we
have the option. So
please stay tuned for some great casserole recipes. That was what the newscaster had to cut it to after he said it was the end of the world. Forgot about that.
Stay tuned. Great. So we are on to All-Star Superman number 4. I keep forgetting to announce at the beginning of the show that we're doing this. I'm sorry.
You've only got 8 more times to fail.
I'll try and remember. But we are having a fun issue with a fun Super Dickory cover where Superman has turned evil. Yeah. Jimmy Olsen's the only one can stop him. So in this world, Jimmy Olsen has like a regular column that he does where it's like he spends a day in the life of some famous person's shoes, I guess. He's also like a very like kind of metrosexual almost, but like also closet cross-dresser. I can't tell if that's meant to be a closet thing or out in the open because no one else really sees it. But he's very fashionable and just like always in the public eye. Perry says that like half the people hate you, half the people love you, and then half the people want to fuck you, or something like that. I can't get a read exactly.
Or is there half of half?
Yeah. I can't exactly get a read on who Jimmy is supposed to be here, but I get an overall sense, I guess.
Yeah, I get the vibe that he wanted to do a Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen issue for Morrison did.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's going to spend a day in the life of that professor guy, Professor Quintum, the one
Leo Quintum from the first issue that we already read.
Yeah, who worked. He's like the head of Project,
which is an acronym for something.
Something that we don't know. Yeah, it's maybe going to be a reveal. I don't remember. So Leo Quintum is talking to some people from the light dimension from such and such place, and he's like, all right, they've invited me over, so I'm gonna go talk to them. And Jimmy Olsen is in charge. And he wants to like go check out all the cool stuff. He passes this vault with like "Do not open until doomsday." Like, ooh, what is this? And they're like, yeah, it's like a doomsday thing being developed just in case. There's also some chaos goes wrong. Some bad shit happens when one of the scientists like has discovered something in one of his in the portal to the Underverse. Great name, the Underverse. And it's going crazy. Jimmy Olsen is about to fall in and disintegrate, but he calls Superman to help. And Superman rushes over, and they see that what caused this whole thing is black kryptonite. Now, I'm not super well versed in DC, but how many like colors of kryptonite have we seen in the DC universe proper, and how many are just kind of like out there in other forms of media?
So, red kryptonite definitely was in Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And I think it made him a bit of a Lothario, and he cheated on Lois when he got red kryptonite.
What a red kryptonite guy.
And obviously there's green kryptonite.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm sure we could Google real quickly, like different kryptonite.
Yeah, like what's canonical in the comics. I don't know. I definitely don't feel like I have ever seen black kryptonite before. But we see very quickly Superman's text box starts to change from white to a black background, and he's like talking angrier and more like sarcastically at Jimmy, like, I just fucking come running every time you need help with something. And he's like starting to break Quintum's tables there, and yeah, he's like, you know what, black kryptonite makes me bad, and he starts attacking everything, going crazy. He's on a rampage throughout all of Metropolis. It's a mess.
So, okay, so I found an article.
Okay,
cool. So we got green kryptonite. That's your classic Superman's weakened. Red one causes bizarre mood swings and even mutations. That's Adventure Comics 252.
That was in Superman 2?
Probably.
Or 3?
Probably. Anti-kryptonite that only is lethal to humans. Also Adventure Comics 252. X-kryptonite. It gives humans and other creatures superhuman powers. Also from Adventure Comics 261.
Oh, there's a lot. Oh, this is a big list. Okay.
Blue kryptonite. It's used to stop Bizarro, which is going to be kind of relevant to this issue because this kind of has a Bizarro analog. Superman 140. White kryptonite kills plants. Gold kryptonite removes superpowers permanently. Adventure Comics 299. Silver kryptonite makes Superman have some hallucinations, so that's fun. Superman Batman 49 is from. Black kryptonite makes them good and evil. From Supergirl #2, it says. I'm reading Geek and Sundry, by the way. Orange kryptonite gives animals superpowers. Pink kryptonite turns Superman gay. Okay.
What?
Supergirl Volume 4, 79. Okay, this is apparently serious. And then Periwinkle kryptonite.
I mean, this is 2003.
Yeah, all right.
Is that the Michael Turner stuff? Is that Jeff Loeb?
Oof, that sounds like Michael Turner.
Supergirl 2003, so I don't know.
And Periwinkle kryptonite, Superman loses all of his inhibitions, which sounds like red kryptonite from Lois and Clark to me, so who knows?
Yep.
That's 2013.
The Wikipedia article has even more listed. Like, there is a, what is this one? A red, green, blue, gold kryptonite where Superman combines the minerals to power an intelligence-expanding device. Okay, cool.
Sure.
This just sounds like the fucking lanterns with like the... Well, now we've got the orange lanterns. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Green doesn't like yellow. That's all I need to know. Black lanterns are zombies. That's all. I don't care about beyond that.
So anyways, back to the story.
Why do you have so many colors of lanterns anyway? Have another lighting instrument.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
We are the orange flashlights. LED flashlights.
Oh. So Superman's like on a tear throughout the city. Jimmy Olsen is trying to figure out how to stop this, and he's talking to the people at Project, which is like they mention it's the precursor of Project was Cadmus, so this is basically Project Cadmus, right? Right? Maybe.
It seems like it.
Sure.
They've got 3 anti-Superman weapons. One is kryptonite based, and Superman's like immune to green kryptonite now, so that's a no-go. 2 would send him to the Phantom Zone forever, so I don't want to do that. So 3 is Doomsday. And Jimmy approaches him, and he's just got like a gun in his hand. But we learn that Doomsday is not a person in this universe. It is a drug that Jimmy shoots into himself, and Jimmy Olsen becomes Doomsday. What? Here on out, kind of felt a little fan servicey for me, these issues, compared to the last few.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Like, we're gonna put Doomsday in this, but we're gonna find a weird way to get to it.
He saves the day, beats up Superman enough to calm him down, and they're able to figure things out. Superman.
Let me take a step back.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right that I don't like the bullshit way they get to Doomsday. Like, I like the death of Superman. I liked it way more than you guys did, the comic book. But I think that may have been my problem with Batman versus Superman when Doomsday showed up. It was like a bullshit way to like shoehorn Doomsday in. It was like somebody, I think it was Michael Sheen's character becoming Doomsday, and I thought that was bullshit. Like, I need Doomsday to be like just a thing that shows up and not come from something for me to buy into it.
Just a unstoppable monster in green shorts.
Yes,
that's all I want. I want.
I don't want somebody to turn into him. That's bullshit. No, don't like it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's making it a little too much the Hulk.
Yeah.
He does kind of look like the Abomination in this version of him. So he saves the day, and he says, "Hey, I'm still leader of a project for a little while, right? Hey, can I make some alterations to the moon?" And before this, like when Jimmy is turning back into human and Superman's waking up, there's this weird gag with like 2 people showing up, and he's like, "Oh, please don't take him away. He's a good man. Don't let anybody see him like this." And they're like, "Actually, you just saved our lives. We wanted to give you some VIP tickets to our opening night show for our musical, for Frankenstein on Ice." I'm like, "Okay, what?" It felt really weird, like out of place. That really threw me for a loop. I got a lot of whiplash. I got more whiplash from that than from anything that I've read. But then later he shows up at home and he has written "I Love Lucy" on the moon, which I guess was his girlfriend's name.
Yeah, Lucy Lane.
He defaced the moon.
He defaced the moon to profess his love, and he brought home tickets. And now she's not mad at him, and she's not going to go sleep with her other boyfriend they alluded to.
If you look at any of those Silver Age Jimmy Olsen comics, his girlfriend Lucy Lane was the worst.
She's pretty terrible, but he's also pretty terrible. But he did save the day, so I guess it's okay. Superman makes a thing like, "Hey, my pal saved the day. Good job." Of course.
Yeah, there's also a part where Perry is like complimenting Clark on like what a good journalist he is. And then Jimmy activates his signal watch, and so Clark's like, "I have to go right now."
But that's pretty much it for this issue. Anything else we want to say about it? It's pretty straightforward. Not a lot happened.
I feel like when I read this when it came out, I'm steadily losing interest in this book. I'm not not feeling it. Like,
all right, well maybe we'll set ourselves a check-in at 6, and we'll see if we want to keep going or we'll stop it.
I feel like with all of these 12 issue things though, that like issue 4 is the one where I'm like, I'm not feeling this now. Like,
but then like we usually come back to it, right?
Right. Yeah. But issue 4 is like a doldrums. Like the show 24. Like I think somebody wrote the show 24 episodes, each an hour an episode. That was their conceit. They wanted to do 24 hours. Episodes 16 to 20 always drag. They just like are killing time to then get to the like final 4 episode finale. But like I feel like in these 12 issue things between Secret Wars and Crisis, like issue 4 to like 7, I'm just not feeling. So I'm intrigued to see. I'm feeling like maybe this may happen again. Like I'm just like, okay. And then it comes back, but
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't like Jimmy Olsen. I don't know who this guy, particular Jimmy Olsen, is, because he doesn't feel like the Jimmy Olsens that I'm familiar with. From again, Lois and Clark is probably my biggest touchstone for Superman. Yeah, I'm not feeling this though. I didn't really like this particular futuristic version. I didn't get much Superman in it.
Yeah.
And the last issue was kind of weird. They didn't take advantage of like Lois's superpowers. So.
All right, so we'll see what happens next time. We'll keep it going. Yeah.
But every issue's been different, so that's been fun.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. I don't know what to expect, so that's something.
Yeah, and it's very obvious like that Morrison is going for like Silver Age pastiche type stuff, but I don't know, like it's again to talk about Supreme even more, like I feel like Supreme has so far is a better version of this, where it's just especially because he switches back and forth with the modern art and the classic art, and I don't know, like this is it's very clear what it's doing. But you're kind of like, okay, can we get to the part with like the characters I like? Because this is a lot of treading water where it's just like, yeah, but what about if Lois flirts with, Achilles? And what if Jimmy Olsen has superpowers for the day and has a gypsy curse, which...
they did mention this gypsy curse that I think was just a joke, but I did start to think it was like a real thing.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, where does this go?
Yeah. So I guess we will hopefully see where it goes. Next time, though, what are we doing next time? We are doing something that's connected to Grant Morrison and to Steve Pugh. We are doing Animal Man, but from the 2011-2012 series. It came out around that time with the New 52. Grant Morrison, way back when in the 80s, got one of his first kind of bigger breaks with DC doing Animal Man right after the Crisis. And
we're not reading that, though.
We're not reading that. Very weird, very trippy. And Jeff Lemire, I have not read any of his Animal Man run. But we are reading his run with art by Steve Pugh.
It's more by Travel Foreman, and then Steve Pugh slowly takes over the book.
Gotcha. Okay. What's the other name? You said Travel Foreman?
I think that's his name. Maybe Trevor Foreman?
Okay. Travel does not sound like a name. Trevor does sound like a name. We'll have to see next time. We'll read a book with art.
It is Travel Foreman, though.
That's his name? Travel Foreman?
Hey, he's 69 years old. Nice.
I've never heard of this guy for his 69 years alive. Travel Foreman. All right. I'm this guy's biggest fan now. 69. All right.
He did some like Iron Fist with Ed Brubaker and Matt Fraction. Oh, that's like a book we should put on the list.
Yeah, put it on. We're going to read Animal Man Volume 1, The Hunt, issues 1 through 6. I forget, what are Animal Man's powers? Does he just like summon animal strength?
Turns into animal. Yeah, he summons. He summons animal strength. He's like, I've now got like strength of a baboon.
Okay, so do we want our over-under to be how many animal powers he summons? Like how many different animals?
That's going to require me to count.
Yeah, you're right. Do we need an over-under for next time?
We can do that, though. I will count that. I will count how many
times. I can try to... We'll all try to count.
I'm going to say he turns into 17 different animal powers. He summons...
17? That's a good number. Yeah. In 6 issues, huh? I think it's more than that. I'm going to say... I go high with these things. I'm going to go 30.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a lot. Chris, how about you?
Yeah,
0?
I'll continue to be lower than you guys. I'll say...
he never uses his powers.
It's an origin story. He doesn't have his powers yet.
Yeah, I'll say 7.
All right. 7. Cool. All right.
One issue plus 1.
Kia 30, Vince 17, Chris 7.
All right, great. I really have no idea what we're in for, so we'll see. But yeah, Animal Man Volume 1, The Hunt, and All-Star Superman number 5. Yeah, I think that's it. This episode went a little long, I think, but we had a
Yabba Doo time.
We had a
gay old time.
Gay old time. Thank you, Vince.
Yeah, you're welcome, Bon.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I don't have another Flintstones.
It's okay. Character. You don't have to say anything. It's okay. And I'm Kia. I'm not going to say anything because I'm just going to end the show. Goodbye. We're done.